Everyday new collection of coin today is 1987 United States quarter dollar history, context, and legacy. The 1987 United States quarter dollar may appear, at first glance, to be an ordinary coin. It carries the familiar portrait of George Washington on the obverse and the heraldic eagle on the reverse, designs that had been standard for decades. Yet the 1987 quarter sits at an interesting intersection in American numismatic and economic history. It was produced during a period of economic transition after the inflationary 1970s and early 1980s recession, and just before the transformative 50-state quarters program that would reshape coin collecting in the late 1990s. The 1987 issue also marks a point in mint policy when production quantities and collector packaging practices were evolving. To understand the significance of the 1987 quarter, it is necessary to explore its design origins, minting process, historical context, production figures, varieties, collecting significance, and its place within broader U.S. monetary history. Design origins: the Washington quarter. The 1987 quarter is part of the long-running Washington quarter series, first introduced in 1932 to commemorate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. The design was originally intended as a one-year commemorative replacement for the standing Liberty quarter, but its popularity ensured its continuation as the permanent quarter design. Obverse. Front. Portrait of George Washington facing left. Liberty above. In God we trust to the left. The date 1987 below. Mint mark, P or D to the right of Washington's ponytail. The portrait was designed by sculptor John Flanagan, based on a bust of Washington by Jean-Antoine Houdon. Reverse, forward back. Heraldic eagle with wings spread. Olive branches beneath. United States of America above. E pluribus unum above the eagle. Quarter dollar below. This reverse design remained in use from 1932 until 1998, when it was replaced by the state quarters reverse designs. Composition and specifications. By 1987, U.S. quarters were composed of a copper-nickel-clad structure introduced in 1965 due to rising silver prices. Specifications. Diameter, 24.3 millimeters. Weight, 5.67 grams. Composition, 91.67% copper. Core, 8.33% nickel, outer layers. Edge reeded. Thickness, 1.75 millimeters. Before 1965, quarters were 90% silver. However, as silver prices rose in the early 1960s, hoarding increased, leading Congress to authorize clad coinage. The 1987 quarter therefore represents the modern clad era of U.S. coinage. Minting locations and production figures. In 1987, quarters were struck at 2 mints for circulation. Philadelphia, P. Denver, D. The San Francisco Mint did not produce regular circulation quarters in 1987, but did strike-proof versions for collectors. Mintage figures, approximate. 1987, P.O. 582 million. 1987, D. 655 million. 1987, S-proof, 4.2 million. These high mintage numbers reflect a strong demand for coinage during the economic expansion of the mid-1980s. Interestingly, unlike some previous years, the U.S. Mint did not issue traditional uncirculated mint sets in 1987. Instead, coins were available primarily through circulation or special packaging, making high-grade uncirculated examples somewhat more desirable among collectors. Historical context: America in 1987. To understand the 1987 quarter, one must consider the broader historical environment in which it was minted. Economic climate. The United States in 1987 was in the midst of the Reagan administration's economic policies, often referred to as Reaganomics. The economy had recovered from the severe recession of the early 1980s. Inflation had stabilized, unemployment had declined, and consumer confidence was relatively strong. However, 1987 is also remembered for Black Monday, October 19, 1987, when the stock market crashed dramatically. The Dow Jones Industrial Average fell by over 22% in a single day, the largest one-day percentage drop in history. Though the broader economy avoided a recession, the crash shook financial markets. The high mintage of quarters in 1987 reflects active economic circulation. Americans were spending, businesses were expanding, and coin demand remained steady. Mint policy and the 1987 anomaly. One unusual feature of 1987 coin production was the absence of standard, uncirculated mint sets. In most years, the U.S. Mint sells official annual mint sets containing one coin from each mint for collectors. However, due to high inventory levels from previous years, the Mint did not produce a standard 1987 uncirculated set. As a result, collectors had to obtain coins from circulation. High-grade uncirculated examples were less readily available in pristine packaging. Certified high-grade coins, MS-66, MS-67, are relatively more sought after. This policy decision adds a layer of numismatic interest to the 1987 quarter. Proof coins, the 1987 S quarter. The San Francisco Mint struck proof versions for collectors. Proof coins feature mirror-like fields, have frosted design elements, are struck multiple times for sharp detail, bear the S Mint mark. The 1987 S proof quarter is common in proof sets and typically affordable, though deep cameo examples graded PR69 or PR70 can command higher prices. Errors and varieties. Although the 1987 quarter does not have famous major varieties like the 1932D or 1932S, minor mint errors exist. Off-center strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, double die varieties, minor, strike-through errors. Most 1987 quarters in circulation are worth face value unless in exceptional, uncirculated condition or featuring notable errors. Collecting the 1987 quarter. For collectors, the 1987 quarter represents a key late-date Washington quarter, a year without traditional mint sets, a relatively modern coin that is still widely available. Value overview, general ranges. Circulated condition, 25 cents. Uncirculated, MS-63, MS-65, $1 to $5. High grade, MS-67 plus, can exceed $100 depending on certification. Proof, PR6970, $5 to $50 plus depending on quality. Value overview, general ranges. Circulated condition, 25 cents. Uncirculated, MS-63, MS-65, $1 to $5. High grade, MS-67 plus, can exceed $100 depending on certification. Proof, PR69, $75 to $50 plus depending on quality. Values fluctuate based on market demand and grading standards. The quarter's role in American daily life. The quarter has long been one of the most practical U.S. coins. In 1987, quarters were commonly used for public telephones, parking meters, vending machines, laundromats, arcade machines. The widespread use of coin-operated machines made the quarter essential in everyday commerce. Transition toward change, pre-state quarters era. The 1987 quarter belongs to the final phase of the classic Washington reverse era. 1932 to 1998. Within a decade, the U.S. Mint would introduce the 50-state quarters program, 1999 to 2008, dramatically increasing public interest in coin collecting. Thus, the 1987 quarter represents the stability of pre-programmed coinage, the end of a long design tradition, the calm before a transformative era in U.S. Mint history. Numismatic grading considerations. When evaluating a 1987 quarter, collectors examine strike quality, sharpness in hair detail and eagle feathers, luster, original mint shine, surface marks, contact marks from circulation, eye appeal. Because so many were minted, only top-tier examples carry significant premiums. Cultural and symbolic meaning. The Washington quarter symbolizes national continuity, respect for the first U.S. president, federal authority in monetary production, the endurance of American iconography. Even in 1987, a year marked by technological growth and financial turbulence, the design remained unchanged, reinforcing national stability through familiar imagery. Comparison with earlier silver quarters. Feature: pre-1965 quarter, 1987 quarter. Composition: 90% silver, copper nickel clad. Weight: 25 grams. 67 Grantch. Intrinsic metal value: high, minimal. Collector appeal: high, moderate. The transition to clad coinage reflects changing economic realities and federal monetary policy. The 1987 quarter in today's market. Today, the 1987 quarter is common in circulation, popular in certified high-grade form, a staple of Washington quarter collections, historically interesting due to the mint set decision. It does not command high premiums in typical condition, but its story adds context to the evolution of American coinage. Conclusion: the 1987 United States quarter dollar may seem like a routine issue within the long-running Washington series, but its historical, economic, and numismatic context reveals deeper significance. Produced during a period of economic growth punctuated by stock market turmoil, struck in massive numbers yet without standard mint sets, and issued just before major changes in U.S. coin design programs, the 1987 quarter occupies an important transitional place in American coinage history. It embodies the mature clad era of U.S. coinage, the steady iconography of Washington and the heraldic eagle, the economic confidence and financial uncertainty of late 1980s America. The final chapter of a reverse design that would soon give way to state-based commemoratives. While most examples remain worth face value, the 1987 quarter stands as a small but enduring artifact of its time, an everyday object that quietly reflects broader currents in American history.